He said that Jesus Christ has risen, and he is the open door.
Well, how you doing, everyone? Welcome to the Cajun Conservative Show. I'm your host, Isaac Hayes, talking about life, talking about liberty, and talking about the pursuit of happiness. And yes, showing the world that us Cajuns do have intelligence. Hope you're having a good day, good week, wherever you're located. Because remember, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. I hope everyone had a good weekend. And I hope everyone had a good church service. If you attended church, if you didn't attend church, what are you doing? That's what I'm just going to say. Do not forsake the assembly that God has put you part of, the Bible says. So, and I'm paraphrasing. I'm not quoting verbatim of what it says. But, hey, at the same time, you should be in church. You should have been in church on Sunday. I had a youth rally this weekend. Had fun. Our worship team, so proud of them young people. They went ahead and they played for the first time ever a worship service. And look, being part of youth ministry, you sometimes you look at it and you're like, man, you know, what am I accomplishing? What are we doing? And something like this past weekend happens. Excuse me. Some of these kids did not know a chord on a bass or a guitar. We had some kids, they grew up in church and they were growing up. They played music at their local children's church before they became part of our assembly. And our drummer, our young man that's a drummer, excuse me, he never played drums before, but he came up to me and said, I want to play drums. And we said, yeah, man, go ahead. Let's get you going. And they started learning. They started practicing. They started coming together as a unit. And last weekend they played their first service for a youth rally. It feels weird for me because that's how I started in ministry. I started playing music. I was 14, 15 years old when I first started in a band at the church with a worship team, and just had fun. Just had fun playing around and being part of some, and now passing that knowledge I have through with the Lord's help to the next generation. And that's what I want to do here, ladies and gentlemen. On that note, I'm hoping there's a lot of young people that are going to listen to this podcast. I hope there's a lot of young people that see my heart and they see that I want to educate them in the right way. That is my hope. That is my hope. And I just, you know, I want to shape young minds. And I want to be a person that helps young people get onto the right path. Because unfortunately, there's a lot of young people that are not on the right path. Let me just say it like this, and this is where it's going to get to the political side. There's a lot of people out there, a lot, that are purposely trying to manipulate the young generation. They're trying to say there is no God, there's no purpose to living. You're just an animal. Just live life to the fullest. And they just, you know, they're training them up in the wrong way. And these are the same people that are trying to train these young people to think like that. Hey, you know, don't listen to them Christians. Them Christians are just being dogmatic. They don't want you to have fun. But listen to us. Because the devil knows. The devil has his minions out there. And he knows if he can touch the next generation, that he can go ahead and create havoc on the church. Or in politics, because there is a right way and a wrong way to believe politically. I believe this. But on that note, us as conservatives, and more importantly, as Christians, we need to go ahead and reach the young people. And that's the whole point of this show. The whole point of this podcast, Brothers Just Searching, is to educate people, but it's also to reach the young people for the Lord. With that being said, we're going to have on the third segment, Mr. David Eaton. He is running for state representative in the 49th district of Louisiana. That was hold, if you live in Louisiana and you're familiar with Louisiana politics, that is Blake Miguez's spot. Blake Miguez is prepping up to start his Senate campaign run. He's running, I believe, for Senate District 22, which is my district, and we have some good candidates in there. We got Blake Miguez, we have Hugh Andre, we have a few people that are running in that position. If you live in a District 22nd, those are the two guys that I know for sure is running right now. But Blake's about to kick off his campaign. Mr. Hugh has already kicked off his campaign. But Blake Miguez's former representative seat, David is running for that. Please be here to listen for that. That's going to be a great interview. And let's start, ladies and gentlemen. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm tired of the left. I'm just tired of the left. Why do I say that? Because, ladies and gentlemen, the left don't move. They don't. And look, we're going to talk about this train derailment, which there's more train derailments happening, ladies and gentlemen. And why is it happening now? We have all of a sudden we have chicken farms going up in flames. You can have your thoughts, you can have your opinions on that. But you know that there's something going on in the nation right now. There's something going on in the nation concerning everything happening. But let's go with this whole train derailment in Ohio. Pete Buttigieg, I call him Buttigieg, is in charge of this. He's in charge of transportation. He's in charge of all this stuff concerning railroad tracks and everything to make sure they all done good. Well, this train derailment happened in February 3rd, ladies and gentlemen, of this year. Pete Buttigieg, you might call him Buttigieg, you might call him I'm trying to remember what I listened to Scott's last episode. Go check him out, the Scott Ford Show on Spotify. And he called him I can't think of his name. You know what? I'm gonna have to go look it up. I texted him when I was like, you called him that, really? But Mayor Pete did not go out there. He didn't go out there a week later. He didn't go out there a couple of days later. He was lollygagging. He was just lollygagging, and he wasn't going out there. He was not going. Now he gave in his press briefing of the event, he went ahead and said he didn't want to get in the way of the emergency workers. You wouldn't have got into the way of the emergency workers. You're just one person. And I understand Mayor Pete has probably security with him and all that good stuff. But ladies and gentlemen, he didn't show up. He did not go there. 2 weeks passed. People are asking, are you going to go to the Ohio site? No, I'm not going to go. Apparently, that's what he was telling. I don't know if he was telling people that, but that's what it looked like. Now, J.D. Vance went there, the senator of Ohio, and he's one of the many videos that have come out where they went ahead and threw a rock in the water or they put a stick in the water, and you saw all the rainbow color in the water. That was the hazardous material that came from this derailment. And this is why I don't like the left, because when the Republican Party does something, all of a sudden they have to show up. And they have to go ahead and try to take credit for it. Why do I say that? Because President Donald Trump went ahead in the bad weather, went to Ohio. Now, Donald Trump being there is more of a photo op, you could say, but Donald Trump showed up. Donald Trump didn't show up. This is why I say the legitimacy of his visit was the concern of the people. Donald Trump just didn't show up there and tell people, boy, this is wrong what happened to y'all. Joe Biden don't care about y'all. He's all the way in Ukraine. He cares more about the Ukrainian people. But I'm here and I care about y'all. No, Donald Trump didn't do that. Donald Trump showed up with pallets of water and pallets of supplies that what people needed for their homes. Because you got to remember this, ladies and gentlemen, the government, your friendly government of the Biden administration said, no, we're not going to give y'all disaster relief because this was not a national disaster. Now, at the time of this recording, I believe the federal government has done something because Donald Trump, once again, showed them up. But Donald Trump brought water. Donald Trump brought things of that nature. And all of a sudden, we get an announcement, ladies and gentlemen. Mayor Pete is showing up in Ohio. That's right. This is from the Daily Wire. Buttigieg visits Ohio town weeks after the train crash as bipartisan criticism mounts. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, I'm going to call it by my nickname, visited East Palestine, Ohio on Thursday morning, nearly 3 weeks after the train derailment and chemical fallout. The diversed the small town, whose residents have expressed frustration, saying the issue has received minimal attention from the Biden administration. They're not right. They're not wrong, ladies and gentlemen. They're right. See, the Biden administration is not taking this serious for some reason. We don't know why. We don't know why they're not taking this reason. Maybe it is the point that, oh, this was a Trump district or this was a Trump town and majority of people voted for Trump. So we're not really that worried, or it's a small town, we're not really worried about it. That could be one of the issues. But ladies and gentlemen, this is, I've been saying this ever since I wrote this story, or I talked about this story the first time. This is ridiculous. A town in Ohio can't get hardly no help from the Biden administration, but Biden can travel halfway around the world to Ukraine with $500 million in his back pocket and say, hey, here you go, Mr. President of Ukraine. Here's a check, a blank check. Just take it. Because we care so much about diversity and we care so much about democracy. Now, I want to go to the point where I just made, because a lot of people are saying, why is, because I just asked the question, why isn't the Biden administration going to Ohio? Why aren't they helping these people out? Well, some might say that, as I said, it possibly could be because this might be a Trump district. This might be a Trump location, because look, Trump won this town by double digits. Now, before you tell me, Isaac, that is a conspiracy theory, I want to bring something out right here. The View helps me with this case. Now, I thought I'd never say The View would help me, but The View helps me on this case. Why do I say that? Because after Pete Buttigieg goes ahead and goes to this town after Donald Trump, this is why I don't like the left. I'm not saying I don't like the people. I just don't like the ideology or the things of that nature. I just can't stand people on the left when they do this. When they're going to criticize a man, I don't care if you're on the left, right, up, middle, down, whatever. If you're going to help people in this disaster, I'm going to stand by you. But the left went ahead and waited until Donald Trump got there with supplies, and when they said, hey, we need to start doing something because this is making us look bad. And now that Trump made the left look bad again, the media is stepping in. As I said, The View's about to prove my point, ladies and gentlemen, that the reason they're lollygagging is because possibly this was a Trump district. Why do I say that? Well, Joy Behar suggested on Thursday that the residents of East Palestine was getting what they deserve, or at least what they had voted for. Wait a minute, hold on, wait, what? In the wake of the disastrous train derailment that occurred nearly 3 weeks earlier, now this is from the Daily Wire, in the days since the derailment and crash involving the number of cars that were carrying toxic material, residents have worried that chemicals sweeping into the ground and fumes from subsequent fires could indicate that these toxics introduce these toxins into the air and water supply for months or years to come. But Behar stated on ABC The View, because former President Donald Trump favored deregulations across most industries and these residents overwhelmingly voted for Trump, they were simply seeing the natural results of their choices. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Behar having a conversation with co-host Sandy Houston, who first praised Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg for not going to East Palestine until nearly 3 weeks later, after the train derailment. She claimed that it was obvious he was doing the work rather than simply going for a photo op. Wait, what? You're not going there to assess the day he's working? No, ladies and gentlemen, Pete Buttigieg didn't go ahead and talk and was doing the work. He was talking about other things. He wasn't worried about the Ohio town. Hastings then attacked former Trump, who showed up in East Palestine a day ahead of Buttigieg with trucks full of supplies and clean drinking water in tow, suggesting that his visit reminded her of the time he threw paper towel into people in Puerto Rico. And he was just showed up for for the show. Co-host Sarah Haynes pushed back, saying that if people needed water, it shouldn't matter who was bringing it. I just made that point up right here. Behar then provoked to attack Republicans, claiming that airlines were only safe because the government regulated them and mandated safety standards. Otherwise, where were we, she asks, we are going up in flames. And I want to read her quote. Let me see. So they had another exchange between some of the ladies, and they said that the Norfolk Southern Railroad Company lobbied both Democrats and Republicans to loosen regulations. That's who you voted for in this district, she said, pointing her finger at the camera. Donald Trump, who reduced all safety. He did this. He did in those days. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's not blame the current administration, because I have some questions right here that I really would like to ask Ms. Jo Behar. Hasn't Biden been in office for 2 years? Correction, 3 years? Hasn't Biden been in office for 3 years? So couldn't he have changed those deregulations that you were talking about? And also, how's it still Trump's fault when he's not in office? How did Trump call Biden and tell Biden, hey, don't change my regulations? If that was the case, the first day that Biden got in there and signed 17 executive orders that overturned laws at the border and other places, Trump would have called and told him not to do that, wouldn't he? See, ladies and gentlemen, this is why they don't like Trump. And look, I'm not the biggest Trump supporter out here. But ladies and gentlemen, this is why they don't like Donald Trump, because Donald Trump gets things done. Donald Trump sees the problem. It was you could also do the argument as well that Donald Trump waited 3 weeks, but Donald Trump we just found out about the water like a week ago. Donald Trump brought a truck in with water and other supplies for people. It made Joe Biden look bad because Joe Biden just days before said, I'm not going to give them disaster relief. And you had Pete Buttigieg standing in his office out of doing God knows what, made him look bad because Donald Trump showed up. So magically he shows up to the place and tells him, I didn't come because I didn't want to mess with nobody's work, and gave some lame excuses for why he didn't show up. And it made him and his boss look bad. So the media comes into play, Jo Behar and others, and say, well, look, it wasn't Biden's fault. It wasn't Pete's fault. No, it was Donald Trump's fault for when he was president. He deregulated everything. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why people like me get angry at the media. Because look, this derailment was wrong. Not wrong. It was a crisis. It was an accident that so hopefully it was an accident that this train derailed. The brakes didn't work, or the track. We can name a lot of things, but you can't stop that event from happening. But your response as a leader should be, hey, let's go help them people. No, Biden is more worried about people in Ukraine. Pete Buttigieg is worried about energy vehicles and every other thing. And now that Donald Trump has showed them up, oh, we can't have this. They got the people at The View to go ahead and try to, well, this is not The View, but the media trying to justify why Pete didn't go, why Biden isn't going. But hey, everybody, look, you don't blame them anyway. It was Donald Trump's fault. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why I get angry. Because let's put the blame where the blame is supposed to be at, not who you hate and you're going to pass the blame on there. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take a break. We'll be right back after this short message. How you doing, everyone? Isaac here. I'm the Cajun Conservative, and I want to thank Brother Lanny Hayes from Hayes' Dump Truck Service for their generous support of the Cajun Conservative and Brothers Just Searching. Hayes' Dump Truck Service serves the Lafayette and surrounding areas. If you have any job that you need done, like cleanup or hauling material to your job site or your home, we haul limestone, we haul sand, we haul topsoil, any type of material you need. If you're in the Lafayette and surrounding areas, please call Brother Lanny Hayes at 337-852-8043. Remember, Hayes' Dump Truck Service, where Jesus is Lord of the company.
Your blood cleansed and made us whole. Not one hoof, not one soul.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the second segment of the Cajun Conservative Show today. Ladies and gentlemen, Republicans are stirring up hornets' nests. That's right. Like I said, look, I'm not trying to, because I want to clarify something. I said I don't like the left, or I hate how the left operates, and that is true. I don't like. It's not that I don't dislike the people. I just don't like their ideas. And this is I'm gonna bring out a point right here that I think I need to address, is the left's hypocrisy. Because I'm gonna go back to January 6th right here on this segment. How the Democrat Party push, and I say to the Democrat Party, some on the right as well, the Republican Party, which I don't really call them the right or conservatives, I call them rhinos, because they're only Republican in name only. If you need names, Liz Cheney and Adam Zinslinger, just to name a few, and also some in the Senate side, because half our Senate is rhinos. But if you remember, the January 6th happened and people cried insurrection, and they had tons of footage. They had all this stuff going on. And when the January 6th committee, which we knew was a sham from the beginning, when the January 6th committee came out and said, we're going to go ahead and start releasing footage, it was kind of funny how they only released some of the footage. What they did was they teamed up with a TV production team and they edited certain points that prove their points. Not everyone did not see all the footage, but the Democrats and some Republicans that were sitting on that committee did not want to release all 41,000 hours of the January 6th footage. The January 6th committee, their whole focus, and I will say this till the day I'm gone, was to stop Donald Trump. All they did was, and this is the bad thing, it was all tax paid. Think about this. It was all tax funded, the January 6th committee. So for them to propagandize you, they use your money to do it. But they went ahead and they only took small parts of the January 6th committees, the January 6th footage, and showed it to you. That proved their point. And then they had speeches. This was not by far a true committee, because true committees do not show up at the prime time for you to watch them give you speeches. Normally, it's them debating and seeing what's good, what's not good, take it out, and all this stuff. So the Democrat Party, and they did not want to release all of it, ladies and gentlemen, because there is some things that prove that Donald Trump did not start the insurrection. Why do I say that? Because they got their, as we say in Cajun language, got their cassons in a bunch. Why do I say that? Because House Speaker Kevin McCarthy went ahead and released all 41,000 hours of the footage to Fox News, and that's not Fox News, specifically to Tucker Carlson. And they went ahead and they released it. Tucker Carlson is working on it. I promise you, when that footage comes out, or when Tucker says stuff about it, I probably will report it on the episode upcoming. But ladies and gentlemen, the Democrats are angry at it, especially Adam Schiff. As Town Hall has reported, Adam Schiff is having a meltdown over newly released January 6th footage. Adam Schiff went ahead and tweeted this. Kevin McCarthy turned over January 6th videos to right-wing propagandists. Tucker Carlson. What is Don Lemon? If you have to name right-wing propagandists, you're gonna have to talk about the leftist propagandists like Don Lemon and everyone else that works at CNN. Because you got to realize, and this is why I'm saying this, because while the January 6th committee was looking at all the facts and trying to find if Donald Trump did something wrong, you had everybody on CNN and even some on Fox say, oh, well, this is damning evidence against Donald Trump. Donald Trump looked like he's going to jail. Oh, the January 6th this and January 6th that. And they were trying to ingrain into the American people that Donald Trump sat down in a dark room somewhere with all his allies and planned this whole thing out. And like I said, they only released certain videos that prove their point. Continue on with his tweet. A man who spews Carmelin talking points suggests January 6th was a false flag and spreads the big lie. Make no mistakes, this isn't about transparency, it's about fueling dangerous conspiracy theories. To prove your point that Donald Trump was guilty of a crime that none of his peers viewed him guilty. You hid certain evidence to prove your point for the January 6th committee. Now he's blaming us for conspiracy theories? Now, former Congressman Adam Kinsley, who tried to sell signed copies of the January 6th committee's report on Amazon, is also having a crackdown. This is a Republican. So Kevin McCarthy shared the surveillance footage not with the rest of Congress investigators or anyone else like that. It was at Tucker Carlson. This is one of the same This is one of the same members of that committee that got on the committee not because he was someone that had a different view on it. No, he agreed with Nancy Pelosi because, see, Nancy Pelosi did not let nobody. Well, she wanted to only certain people that believe that Donald Trump caused the insurrection. Why do I say that? Because when Kevin McCarthy said, hey, I'm going to put Jim Banks, I'm going to put Jim Jordan's on that committee to have a different outlet, the first words out of Nancy Pelosi's mouth was, no, you cannot do that because they're in alliance with Trump. So it wasn't fair. But now we have Kinslinger saying, oh, they didn't share it with the rest of Congress. Well, why did Nancy Pelosi do it? See, this is how leftists think. I'm going to call them what they are. They're rhino leftists. They're talking out of both sides of their mouth with this. Oh, he didn't release it with the other congressmen. Y'all didn't either. So call out Nancy Pelosi. Of course, Adam Kinsley won't do that. The Alexis Frankening of McCarthy has been breathtaking, and now the man I thought I knew before Trump. Lies, lies, lies. So why am I bringing this out? Because, ladies and gentlemen, the left don't want that other footage to be shown. Now, we have reports. I've got reports that Mike Lindell, who I listened to just a week ago, has decided. He says if Tucker Carlson goes ahead and does a report on it, he's going to sue Fox News and Tucker Carlson, and he's also going to sue the House Speaker. Why? Because he feels they are infringing on his First Amendment right and his 14th Amendment right. Now, will that hold? Well, he said it's going against the freedom of the press. Now, Mike Lindell can do whatever he wants. Me personally, I'll be happy. Look, when Fox News, if Tucker Carlson releases any of this footage or does a report on this footage, it's going to be covered on CNN, MSNBC, CBS. How much, we don't know, but they're going to try to criticize it and critique it as much as they can. But ladies and gentlemen, this right here, look, should have been released to everybody else. You can have a different opinion on that. I think Tucker's going to do a good job on it. Because Tucker isn't just finding what he's going to compare it to the January 6th what they showed, and he's going to show other footage. Now, what is it going to be? I don't know. But we're going to have to wait and see. I wanted to show you, the audience, the hypocrisy of the left. They wanted to go ahead and hide certain pieces because, like I said, the whole footage should have been released from the get-go. But you see, there's some footage that was taken on January 6th that doesn't prove that Trump was the was the person, the mastermind behind this event. And this is why they wanted to shut it up. But now that it's out there, now we're going to have some crybabies. And look, elections have consequences. That's what the Democrats should go ahead and take from. We have that too. Glad we have a House Speaker that's putting up. And this is why I like what Kevin McCarthy's doing. Let's move on. Also, this past week, the Trump grand jury is getting set to recommend. Now, this is recommendations. This isn't indictments, but they're recommending criminal indictments for Donald Trump and his act in Georgia when he was trying to find votes. You remember this for the election, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump called the governor of Georgia and said, "Look, all I need to find is 10,000 votes. Go find the 10,000 votes." Did Donald Trump word that right? No. Look, this is just me speaking on the rail. It's kind of funny. They waited 10 days to make sure that Biden had enough votes, but they couldn't wait for Herschel Walker one day. That's just my take. It's weird to me. Now, I don't know everything about elections, but let's continue with this thought process. They want to charge Trump basically with this grand jury as Trump was interfering with the election. That is their words. Now this grand jury has been they went ahead and concluded their stuff, but there's something happening now with the Biden with this grand jury. CNN, MSNBC panned Trump grand jury foreperson media blitz after blasting her profile with interviews. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is coming from Fox News. 2 cable news networks have granted the forewoman of the special grand jury as part of the Georgia criminal probe into former President Trump, as are the same networks that are panning her media blitz. Emily Knowles made national headlines this week for offering insight into the grand jury deliberation on and whether it recommended charges against Trump and other Republicans in the role in attempting to reverse the Peach State 2020 election results. Clips from her sit-down with CNN and NBC quickly went viral, particularly for her bizarre enthusiasm and giggle demeanor, something even Trump foes fear could aid his defense team efforts to dismiss the case entirely. So what's happening was this lady has gone on CNN, which anybody that can go ahead and go against Trump, they're going to have on. Shoot, I can go ahead and say, hey guys, Donald Trump did this, and this, and it could be completely false. I probably get a phone call from CNN. So she went on CNN and she went on MSNBC. They're asking her questions did you want to have do you want Trump to testify? And she's like, oh, I wish Donald Trump would have came, because I would have said it all slow too. Like, do you solemnly swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth? And her eyes is about to bulge out of her head. Look, I'm not trying to make fun of the lady, but she's and she's laughing and giggling and she's ladies and gentlemen, this was a joke. And my first thought when I saw these clips, and I don't have the clips on me, but when I first saw the clips, I'm like, they led this woman to a grand jury room? Now, ladies and gentlemen, her demeanor and she's slipping things out is kind of making this a case for Trump's defense team. The Democrats and all the people that are talking about this is right, because she's doing this. She was like happy to be in there to indict Donald Trump. And ladies and gentlemen, how is that fair? That you had a grand jury person, and this is not the grand jury person, the forewoman, the one that swears in, the one that leads the jury, going on national TV saying she could not wait to hear what the president had to say and tell him to tell the whole truth. And ladies and gentlemen, you hear these clips and you see her. It's like she was happy that she was there because she could possibly put the former president in jail. Now, if this was somebody on the left and the right did this, oh, you would have an upcry in the media. Oh, this is not right. This is partisanship. This is this. And guess what? Now you're having some backlash from this, and CNN and MSNBC is trying to debunk. Not trying to debunk. They're trying to bring down the tension. Someone went on TV let me see what show. Shortly after her interview with CNN Kate Bulow on Tuesday, her colleague Anderson Cooper and Eli Ho reacted to the astonishment. First of all, why this person is talking on TV, I do not understand. A shocked Cooper said. She's clearly enjoying herself, but I mean, is this responsible? She was the foreperson of this grand jury. This is a horrible idea, said Hugan, a CNN legal analyst, and I guarantee you that prosecutors are watching her go on this. I was wringing just watching her in eagerness to hint at stuff. Cooper explained, there's no reason for her to be out talking. No. It is a prosecution's nightmare, Hugan told Cooper. Mark my words, Donald Trump team is going to make a motion if this is an indictment to dismiss the indictment based on grand jury improperly. So, ladies and gentlemen, look, let's even go to the point. If Donald Trump did do something wrong, and this woman had an opportunity to do what's right to put him behind bars, she screwed it up. But ladies and gentlemen, and this is, look, I don't know what it is. It's like these people that are in high profile cases, they want to run to a camera. If you really want to do something right, you would keep your identity a secret and do your job. You know what it is, ladies and gentlemen? This woman probably was a Trump hater and did not like Trump and got this invitation to go to this grand jury. She some way or another got approved, and now she's happy because she could probably finally do something about Trump. And that is a partisanship on a jury, because when you're on a jury, you're supposed to be nonpartisan. But this lady wasn't. Now this lady is blown up. She's ruined everything that the Democrats want. Now people are seeing, this is bad. This is bad. Why did their host network even ask her to come on? And look, don't get me wrong. I thought she was a couple of fries short of a Happy Meal when I watched it too. They could have seen that at the beginning. But this is how the left does, ladies and gentlemen. The left goes ahead and, hey, anything to get rid of Donald Trump, we will bend the rules. I got one more story, then we're going to go ahead and go to the break, and we're going to have David Eaton on, running for state representative of District 49 in the state of Louisiana. View host Sandy Holston compares Alex Murdaugh to Kyle Rittenhouse, wealthy white guys dynasty. Now, this all comes on the heel of Alec Murdaugh. I'm trying to say his name right. Forgive me. Testifying his own defense and immediately admitted to lying. Now, who is this Alec Murdaugh? Well, there's a big case going around where he's accused of killing his family. And he took the stand for the first time. And look, he's a disbarred lawyer. And he also admitted to lying for years about his whereabouts on the day of his wife Maggie and his son Paul were murdered. He is currently on trial, but he took the stand. He wanted to defend himself, and he has every right to do this. Now, I'm not going to say that this man innocent or guilty. He's still got to go ahead and face the jury, and the jury got to deliberate, and they got to go ahead and make sure that he's lying or he's not lying. Well, again, The View. We talked about The View at the beginning, the media trying to pass an agenda. Hey, it's all Trump's fault and all. And come out and Sonny Holston is pushing critical race theory again, because this is what it sounds like. Why do I say that? Because as I read just a while ago, View host Sandy Holston compares Alec Murdaugh to Kyle Rittenhouse, wealthy white guy dynasty. Now, this woman's a lawyer. She's also, as I said, the co-host of The View. Compared high-profile murder trial defendant Alec Murdaugh to Kyle Rittenhouse, the young man acquitted of homicide charges after killing two men and injuring another in self-defense at the riot in Kenosha, Wisconsin in 2020. Hostin realization, the unusual comparison, saying that Murdaugh, a disbarred attorney, may have made the decision to testify in his own murder trial because he saw a fellow white guy, which Kyle Rittenhouse was not wealthy, when he was on trial. He didn't have a dime. His lawyer's fees got paid by people donating to him, which they're doing now. Kyle Rittenhouse is getting sued by one of the idiots and one of the fathers of the idiots. I'm not respect to the dead that tried to kill Kyle Rittenhouse. That's been proven. But anyway, wealthy white guy Rittenhouse do it in 2021 and get off. She told her co-host during the Friday episode of the ABC talk show that Murdaugh testimony brought to mind Kyle Rittenhouse, who testified on his own behalf and got off. My question is, after testifying, does he get off? Murdaugh took the stand during the trial Thursday as part of his defense against charges that he murdered his wife and his son in 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Rittenhouse didn't get off because he sat on the stand. Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted of his crimes after it was proven in a court of law that he acted upon self-defense, when it was clearly proven that he did not incite the violence. Now, like we said, I haven't been following this case. This is the first I mentioned of the case because it popped up about Kyle Rittenhouse, and I wanted to see what was going on. But you see how the left does, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm short on time. I wish I could hit this home a lot more, but listen to how the view is in their left-wing mindset, that the only reason Kyle Rittenhouse got out because he was a white, wealthy guy. He was not wealthy when this happened. I don't even know if he's wealthy now. I really don't know. But ladies and gentlemen, it's because he was a white guy. That's why he got off. And that is not the case, ladies and gentlemen. The case is that Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted because it was proven in a court of law in a jury of his peers that he was innocent of all charges. But you see, this can't sit well with the left's mind that a Second Amendment person got off because they defended themselves. So what'd they go to? Race. Well, it was a white guy. That's why he got off, and that's why he's going on the stand, and that's how Kyle Rittenhouse got off. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a lawyer. Her law degree must have came out of a Cracker Jack box. This lady does not have no sense. But this is how the left thinks. Because someone with a gun protected themselves. Oh, it wasn't because he was found innocent. It was because of white privilege. And it is sad that our nation has come to this point where we have people on national TV saying it was not because the law prevailed, it was because of white privilege, and spewing racism all over the place. It's sad, ladies and gentlemen. And look, this is what my thought is. If these women can make it on television, I have a good shot. But see, I'm on the right. I'm not on the left. I forgot about that. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and take a break. We'll be right back with David Eaton and talk about his political race here in Louisiana. Y'all stay tuned for that. We'll be right back in a few minutes.
Cheers and good on you, boys and girls. My name is Scott Ford, and I have a podcast on Spotify. I would love it if you went over and subscribed to my podcast. It's a talk show. It covers a wide variety of topics. I cover success, motivation, funny stories, topical events, things going on in the world. And I would love it if you went over and subscribed to my podcast. Thank you so much, Isaac. God bless. Enjoy your life.
You're my peace of mind when this old world seems to get me down.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the third and final segment of the Cajun Conservative Show today. Joining me in studio, I hope this ain't just one-time thing. I hope you come back a little bit more.
Sure, anytime.
Mr. David Eaton, he's running for state representative of District 49 here in the great state of Louisiana. David, how you doing, man? Long time no see.
Yeah, long time no see, man. It's been a while. I'm doing great today. Beautiful day outside and enjoying the weather.
It finally stopped raining, dude.
Oh, man, finally. I tell you what. it was wreaking havoc on my backyard with my dog and my kids. So they were creating some nice mud holes.
Oh man, my kids got tired of staying in the house, man.
Yeah.
and you seen walking into the studio, man. We got dump trucks, man. It just when you're standing around not doing nothing, you're trying to find things to keep the business going. It just.
My dad was a bricklayer growing up, and so he still does that. So I know exactly what you're talking about. When it's raining, we can't work at all. So.
Well, that's the thing about Louisiana. A lot of people are. It isn't just. A lot of people think we live in the swamps. A lot of people in the north or whatever. Yeah. But no, we're a lot of hardworking blue collar workers here,
Absolutely.
and the weather plays a key role into everything we're doing.
It does. It really does. It really does.
So David, let's talk about you a little bit. I met you at a Citizens for a Better Louisiana. I think New Louisiana, Better Louisiana. I always forget Michael's organization. But I met you at an event, and you were saying you were about to announce. You weren't going to announce, but since we talked last, you have announced
Correct.
that you're running. That is Blake Miguez's former spot, or his current spot that he's announcing in a couple of days formally that he is running for the Senate seat of the 22nd district.
Yes.
But that is Blake Miguez's spot. What made you want to run?
So what made me originally want to run was I've always yelled at the TV. I've always talked and said somebody needs to do something. And when COVID hit in 2020, my wife looked at me and she said, "Why don't you stop talking and actually do something about it?" And so she kind of encouraged me to get involved in politics. And it's something that I've always been passionate about growing up. My parents always made sure that we knew what was going on in politics. We were always, even though we couldn't vote, we always listened to the debates, the presidential debates. We listened to the local when local leaders would speak, we would listen to them. And so we were always active in politics behind the scenes. And so when 2020 came, I was praying a lot about it, and I actually met a few people, and they started inviting me and encouraging me to get involved. And my wife pushed me to get involved, and after her push, then I started getting involved behind the scenes, talking to legislators, meeting with legislators, just trying to encourage them to do the right thing, because our legislators really are just people at the end of the day, and they need to hear from the good people of Louisiana also. A lot of times they just hear from people that are extreme on both sides of the aisle, and a lot of good people don't voice their opinions, and our legislators are just normal people. They need encouragement. They need people to tell them what they feel and what they think and what's going on in their minds, and they want to hear from us. And so getting involved in that aspect really helped a lot, and we were able to do a lot of things behind the scenes and help out our local leaders in our councils, our legislators, and those as well, just to stand for do what's right and do the right thing.
So prior to 2020, you haven't held any office going forward right now. This is your first time running.
Right, correct. This is my first time running for an office. Right now, I'm Bayou Vermilion District. I'm a commissioner on there. I'm actually the president of the board, but that's an appointed position. So Josh Guillory appointed me that in 2019, and we've been. In 2020, and we've been going since then. So we're really excited about that organization, and that was kind of the organization that really got me involved in politics, and where I really got excited about it. When I first got on board, there was a lot of, as normal government bureaucracy is, there was a lot of in the budget. We couldn't figure out where money was going. We couldn't figure out what was happening in the budget, and so we sat down with our CPA and we figured out we kind of organized everything. Bayou Vermilion District controls Vermilionville, and it controls the Vermilion River. We clean and we cut trees along the river and those types of things, and we make sure that the bayou is an asset for Lafayette, and it really needs to be more of an asset. And we're working on establishing BVD as one of the organizations, because we're a state governing body, establishing as an organization that can help promote and promote economic development along the bayou. So we get $1.8 million in a millage, basically, roughly, from the taxpayers of Lafayette Parish. And when we finally took the financials and broke them down into the way that they should be broken down, like a normal business would break them down, we found out that the museum in those areas were using $1.12 million, and our CEO at the time was even shocked by $1.12 million of our $1.8 million budget not being spent on the bayou, but being spent on a museum and on a restaurant and those types of things. So you're never going to know how to fix something until you get an accurate picture of it. So once we got that accurate picture, we were able to take it and to move the organization. And in 2022, when we closed 2022, I had just become president in 2022 in September. And when we closed 2022, we had about a $400,000 deficit in our spending, and we got shuttered venue grant. Some of that was because of COVID, but the overspending had been happening for years before then, and we saw the trend downward as normal government, it decays and government spends more and more. So we ended 2022 with almost a $400,000 deficit. We got a shuttered venue grant, which actually brought us to zero, which was great. But in 2023, we ended the year with about a $270,000 surplus, and so we were able to turn it around almost $700,000 in 1 year just by cutting spending. Staff worked extra hard on it. We all worked together. And look, we were left wing, we were right wing, we were conservatives, we were everybody. We have all in the board. The staff is everything, and we don't talk politics. We talk about what's right for the organization, and that's what we need to do in Louisiana. Look, there's things that we have to change. We have to make Louisiana a fiscally conservative place. We have to enable those people, the entrepreneurs like yourself and like me, enable them, cut back regulation, cut back all the bureaucracy, the red tape, and all of those things. Cut all of those things to let our people succeed, because Louisiana is a resilient people. Louisiana people we can see it every hurricane. Every hurricane, we don't sit around and wait for the government to come in, wait for help. We're cleaning up as soon as the storm passes. A lot of times before it even is, you see
during
people,
the storm.
During the storm, you see people out there cleaning up and working, and we're a resilient people. We're a people that want to succeed, but we don't wait for people to help us. And so what we have to do as a government is we have to enable those people. We have to get out of the way, cut the bureaucracy, cut the red tape, cut all of the things that hold us back as Louisianians. And when we do that, we're going to see Louisiana succeed like we've never seen before.
On that note, talking about succeed, because look, we and I've asked everyone that's come through this studio and virtually of the problems that we have with ex-migration. We have people leaving here, and one of the reasons I hear the most is that, listen, we can't find a good, steady paying job.
Correct.
Mr. David, I had a person that I know just come back from Texas because he just finally found a job and he wanted to be home. But the reason he didn't come before, there wasn't a good paying job.
Yep.
There was nothing lining up. And look, I'm going to say it. I don't know if you're at liberty to say it, but I'm going to say John Bell has hurt the state a lot.
Yes.
My guest host a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Barry Martin, brought out statistics evidence. He brought out evidence that showed, look, John Bell has hurt this nation more than anything. And what's sad is some Republicans helped him do it. And that's why I want to ask you, you sounding like you're on the right track. Turn this state back to a conservative leaning party, state, so where we don't have people leaving out. Because I bring this out to everybody. We almost lost another congressman.
Correct.
And the last time we did that, we lost one of them. I believe it was Jeff Landry that lost his seat to Charles Bruce Stanley. So, you had two good people right there that was helping with our country's problems, but now we lost one. So we either went to California or to New York, and that's dangerous.
Oh, no, it is absolutely. 35,000 a year in out-migration is unsustainable as a state. And we look at the 2030 census, and we're probably going to lose a congressman in there if we don't really change something in our state. And how do we change in our state? What do we do? How do we know what to do? And we can look at Florida. We can look at what Florida's done. And look, Florida has done more. People always say, people get overly expectant of Congress, and they look at Congress and they look at our federal government and they say we need to elect the right congressman, we need to elect the right president, we need to elect the right senator, and we do. We have to elect the right people in those offices, and we have great people in those offices right now, but not the president, obviously, but congressmen. I mean, we have Clay Higgins, which is he's a great representative. We have John Kennedy, which I think is a great representative also. And so we have.
I noticed you didn't mention Bill Cassidy. I'm gonna leave that alone.
Anyway, but how do we really change the federal government, and how do we really change our state? It's by creating a state that's first fiscally responsible. Yep. Because what happens? The federal government sends money to the state, and when they send money to the state, they said, well, look, we'll give you this free money. Rush Limbaugh used to say we're Santa Claus. This federal government would give free money, but what do they have with that free money? They have strings and ties, and it's our own money they're giving back to us. So it's really ridiculous that there's any ties to it. But the problem with Louisiana is we have to take it. we're not fiscally responsible enough to say we don't need your money or we don't want your money. If you want to give us your money, we're not accepting your strings. And so how do we limit the federal government? First off, it's by becoming fiscally responsible as a state and enabling us to not have that overregulation and have all that red tape that comes with the federal government and all those things that they bring in, what they tell our schools to do and what they tell our the EPA and all of those different organizations. And I can go down the line on that. But what do we have to do? We have to enable Louisianians. And so everything that we do as legislators and everything that we do as a governor should be seen through that lens of what is best for Louisiana people. What is best? What is going to most enable Louisiana people to do right? Is that going to be giving big businesses a tax write-off? Probably not. Because what happens when, I love Costco. I have a Costco membership. But what happens with the Costco thing when we have property tax? You see local businesses that are hurt by that. Yep. And when they're given an unfair advantage by not paying property tax or by getting an advantage on their property tax, then that hurts local businesses as well. And so we have to look at all those aspects of it. And as Louisianians, we haven't done that. We haven't been proactive. We do a lot of reactive legislating and reactive of government work in Louisiana. And so we have to be more proactive. We look at Florida and we see the things that they've done, getting themselves fiscally responsible, making sure that their schools are safe for kids, and making sure that the regulation in the federal government is kicked out of their state. And that's how we do it. That's how we limit the federal government. Yes, we can elect the right people to Congress, but they're one of 435 people in Congress, and they can't do a whole lot. And then so how do we change that? We change that by electing good local leaders, because the way our Constitution is written, the most power is in local government. And we've almost totally, as Americans, ignored our local government. I know I was so guilty of it.
Me too.
I didn't even know where my parish council meeting was a few years ago. I went to go to it and I said I had to Google where it was, and that was terrible. I was involved in politics. I considered myself up on political news, but I had no idea what was going on in my local government. And that's where we can make the most change.
And you hear that a lot, on that point. There's people that say that, well, today someone said, "Oh, we're voting for president this year," huh? And I was like, "No, no. Oh, I'm not going to vote." So you get what I'm saying, and that's the thing, we got to have good leaders local, like you said. That is the most powerful position. You're right, but unfortunately, as Louisiana, and this is why I think, David, this is why a lot of people are upset with Louisiana, especially right now. I've always said this: nationally, we're red.
Yes,
we're bright red, but inwardly, in the statewide, in the legislature, we're purple.
Right.
Because unfortunately, look, we have a majority, I believe, Senate and a super majority in the House, and we still could not stop John Bel Edwards.
Right.
Think about this, and that's where look, I'm very picky on the candidates I have on. I make sure that they line up with our views, but this has to stop too. You gotta stop the Rhino Republicans. And look, I know we're mutual friends with Michael Lunsford. We're pretty good, but we have to stop the rhinos from going in as well. Because you're talking about voting records. You know how many people go ahead and they vote for somebody that says I'm a conservative and they don't act as a conservative,
right? But
they keep running with that same mentality. I'm a conservative, and those people, Rush called them the best way, uninformed voters.
Yes,
and it hurts the state.
It does. It does hurt the state. We have our Constitution was written on an informed populace, and that means that people took the time to actually learn and to meet those people that they're voting for, because it's important. We spend more time, looking at American Idol and figuring out who's going to vote for that than we do who's going to actually run our country. And we live in one of the only societies in history where we get to elect those that are over us. As Christians, we're commanded to obey those that have authority over us. And we live in one of the only societies in history where we get to choose those that have the authority over us, and we don't do it. And we stay home and we say, well, it's an impossible task, and we make all of these excuses. But it's important for us to go out and vote. And we have to look at it as what's going to be best for Louisiana. When we vote for a candidate, we vote for someone who's going to do the right thing for Louisiana, because we keep talking about people who are going to do the right thing and stand up and, hold the line and do all of these things. But look, we're at a point in Louisiana where we can't stand anymore.
Yep.
We have to be aggressive. We have to go after and do the things that we want to do. We can't just say we're just going to not vote for the right thing. We're not going to vote for the wrong things, and I'm going to vote the right way. We have to go after and do the right things. This is going to take people that have a backbone and a spine. You look at Blake Miguez, and he was, and others also as well, but I talk about Blake because he's in my district. But Blake was one of the only ones that stood against the governor, and he stood up and he told the governor what he thought and how he was not going to vote for that, and he had a spine. And we have to elect legislators that do that. My dad always said we elect politicians, but what used to be is statesmen. We need statesmen back. Statesmen that say the right things and do the right things and follow through with what they mean. And that's what I want to be. That's what I want to be mostly. I'm not worried about furthering my political career. I'm not worried about any of those things. What I'm worried about is that I want a Louisiana that my kids can grow up in and that they can choose to stay in if they want to stay in. They don't have to go to Texas or Florida or Mississippi to find a job like we talk about, because I have friends and family that all have to move because they can't find a job here in Louisiana. And it's a simple formula. How do we do it? We enable Louisianians to do what they do best, and that's work hard and succeed. And the government just has to get out of the way of that.
So you're like me. You're not a big government guy, so that's good right there. Before we roll off, because we have a few minutes left. You're talking about changing positions and voting for it. John Bel Edwards is term limited,
correct?
And we're Republicans. I've threatened to leave multiple times. I haven't yet, but so we have 3 Republicans in there right now: Jeff Landry, John Schroeder, and Cheryl Hewitt,
and Richard Nelson too.
Richard Nelson.
Yeah.
Oh, he came in?
He didn't officially announce yet, I don't believe, but he did a video and he said that he's running, and I believe he did a press release as well. So
you know more than me right now. But so we got 4.
Four.
Right. Is he? He's a Republican,
He's
correct?
A Republican,
Correct. So you got 4 Republicans coming into the race right now. What do you see that race looking like? Because I know we got one Democrat that's running right now, but none of the big guns of the Democrat Party has come in.
Right.
Everyone says this is Jeff Landry's race to lose.
Right.
And you don't have to endorse nobody. We're not asking for that. But what do you see in the Louisiana's governor's race going forward?
So what I always love to see is I love to see debate, and I love to see discourse, and I love to see politicians that run a great race. And so I love John Schroeder. I know John Schroeder. I love Jeff Landry. I think he's great. I don't know Richard Nelson really that well. Met him a few times. Sharon Hewitt, I've met her a few times as well. I don't know any of them. But what I hope happens in the race is I hope they run a race that talks about what they want to do for the state, how they want to change. If they want to talk about their opponent, that's fine. But what we have to do is, if no one wins in the primary and if we have a runoff, we have to come together and vote for the right candidate. We have to. That's what happens every time. We get so hurt at each other. We throw so much mud at each other, and we get so angry, and we get so entrenched with our candidate that when they don't win in the primary, we get to the runoff and we say, I'm not going to vote at all. Yeah. I'm not going to vote, or I'm going to vote for the other guy. We saw it all the time. I knew when John Bell, his last race, when I saw Republicans for John Bell, I said, it's over. John Bell won the last race. And it was, and I'm not even a political consultant. I'm a nobody. I'm just a guy. I'm just a normal guy. But I knew that, because Republicans, what do we do best? We shoot ourselves in the foot best. And so we have to realize, look, we have to come together for the good of Louisiana, because it's all about Louisiana. It's not about me, and it's not about you. It's not about any of the other candidates. It's about what's best for Louisiana and who's going to represent and who's going to do the best for Louisiana. And I'm tired of politicians coming in and talking about what they're going to do and how they're going to change this and how they're going to do all of these things differently. And it's nothing about what's best for the people of Louisiana. How are the people of Louisiana going to be treated? And Rush Limbaugh talked again, going back to Santa Claus, and we promise it's been said that legislators, they don't even go to make laws. They go to Baton Rouge to try to get the most money back for their parish or for their district. And to me, that's a terrible way to look at it. That's a terrible way. We're supposed to be people that go there for the good of Louisiana, and we make laws that help the people back home succeed and do the right thing, whether that's passing crime legislation, whether that's passing legislation that helps insurance. We have to work on property insurance and auto insurance and all of these things.
Yeah, insurance is a pain in the rump right now. I'm going to be honest with you.
It is. I have a friend that's in Texas, and he's paying a third or a half of what he would pay here in Louisiana. And so and
you bringing that up on a side note with insurance, this is the problem. And look, you say you're in construction,
right?
In the trucking industry, it's a joke,
right?
That we have to pay. I know guys that own trucks, and they're paying way more than they should be paying. But we had an incident where I had a friend of mine that got sideswiped by a vehicle. Vehicle's in the wrong.
Yeah.
Do you know that the insurance called him and said, hey, you're going to have to take fault for that?
What?
The only reason he didn't take fault is they had another truck that for the same company had a camera and caught the whole incident. And they were quick to just jump. You get what I'm saying? And look,
Yes.
a lot of people say, well, you got to look at the circumstance, understand, but Louisiana is bad for insurance.
Right.
Pricing, you go ahead and you try to, you have to make a claim and they'll put you at fault or whoever's the benefit, whoever. And it is a joke. It is a joke that you mentioned that. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No. It's
That is an issue. That is an issue that is plaguing Louisiana right now.
It is, no doubt. And it goes back again to how do we make Louisiana succeed and what do we do best for what's Louisiana? And we have to fix that. To me, it's almost the crisis levels. I was talking to my realtor the other day in Broadmoor in Middle Louisiana, in Middle Lafayette. He was selling a house and it was probably $300,000-$400,000 house. And, a pretty decent, expensive house. They got an insurance quote back for their homeowner's insurance and it was $500 a month.
Sure. That's almost another house note.
That's $6,000 a year. In property insurance. That's insanity. That's crazy numbers. And so we have to work on how do we fix that? What changes do we make? And I'm not an insurance agent. I don't have all the answers to everything. But what I am going to do, and I promise you what I will do, is I'm going to work as hard as I can to find those answers and to get the right solutions. I'm going to work with everyone. Look, I want to hear everyone's opinion, left, right, because I'm not going to say that just because I don't agree with you that all your opinions are bad. Because I don't even agree with everything with my wife, and what I always have said, and what I've said as Bayou Vermilion District President, is that look, we can disagree on 98%, 99% of everything, but if that 1%, let's just go ahead and get that done. Look, the only people that it's hurting are the people of Louisiana and the taxpayers. That's the only people that it's hurting when we squabble over nonsensical things that don't do anything. And so let's start making some progress. Let's work together. Let's build a team and a coalition of people that can work together, because we can work together and we have to work together. We can't do it anymore where it's old school Louisiana politics and it's crooked, and we always joke about how crooked Louisiana politics are. And thank God a lot of that, now that with social media and with cell phones and all those things, a lot of that crookedness has been taken away because you don't have the opportunity for it anymore.
Right.
There's so much transparency in government that a lot of it is going away. Not to say there's not, because there is crookedness in government, and it always, there will be. And our job as legislators, and our job as the people, is to hold them responsible. I always my thought has always been that I'm gonna question people that are running for office as hard as I can, and I'm gonna ask them the questions that I want to know the answer to, and then when they get in office, I'm gonna make sure that they do the right thing. And how do I do that? By calling them, by emailing them, by talking to them when I see them, and asking them those questions, and hold them responsible for what they're supposed to do, because that's what we do. We go to the polls and we vote. And then we don't talk to our representative until 4 years later.
Yep.
When they come
knock on the door.
Yep. When they come knock on the door again, or they ask for our vote again, or we see them in an event 4 years later. And so we have to hold our public officials responsible for the 4 years or 3 years or 2 years or however long their term is, depending on what they're running for. How we have to hold them responsible the entire time, and we have to do our due diligence. Because look, I can promise you, if your mayor of Bro Bridge over here started to do something and you didn't like it, or your city council, and 200 people called them and said, we don't want you to do this, they're not going to do it, because 200 people called them. Because I can promise you, and I've talked to many council people and I've talked to a lot of people, they'll get 4 or 5 phone calls, 6 phone calls. Maybe if it's a hot thing, they'll get 20 phone calls, but they don't get a whole lot of cooperation or input from the public. So if we as public citizens just do that, we'll set what we want a lot better than just sitting back and just yelling at the TV. And I got tired of it. And look, I know most of it are tired of it. Let's do something, and let's make Louisiana the state that she wants to be, because we as Louisianians are the heart and the soul of Louisiana, and we can make a difference in Louisiana. We can do the right thing, and we can turn this state around. We can come from last in almost everything to build a state that can be an example of what a Republican state, a conservative state, should look like.
David, before we wrap up, can you go ahead and let people know where they can find you, if they want to get in touch with you to ask you any questions, and give a shout out to your campaign, man.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. So you can look us up on Facebook. We're David Eaton for State Representative District 49 is my Facebook page. My website is eatonforlouisiana49.com, eatonforlouisiana49.com. We're available on Facebook. You can message us. You can email us on either one of those things, and we'll respond. So message us, email us, any of those things. There's a contact page on my website as well, and we'd love to hear from you. Look, I'm not running for me. I'm not running because I want to run, because I believe that I'm the best fit. But I believe what I'm going to do is I want to build a coalition of people that work together to do the right thing. A grassroots coalition of people that love Louisiana and want to see it make a difference. And so what my goal really is to build a group of people that love Louisiana and say, we can't stand for this anymore. Let's do the right thing.
Good job. Good job. All right, David, thank you for coming on,
Thank you,
man.
I
Hope you come back
appreciate it.
soon.
Absolutely. Anytime.
That was David Eaton. He is running for the 49th district in the state of Louisiana. If you live in them districts, please go ahead and check him out and give him a consideration for your vote. With that being said, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank you for listening to the Cajun Conservative Show. Remember that Jesus Christ is King, and he's coming back, and he's coming back soon. So don't be faint of heart, because Jesus has overcome the world. If you want to know Jesus, your Lord and Savior, reach out to me. I'll tell you how to make Jesus your Savior and heaven your home. Until next time, be blessed, be encouraged. You have a good one.
Open